This is not the video that I was planning on filming today. I've just spilled my coffee. I'm having a morning. You know when you have those days where things that should take 5 minutes literally take like 5 hours and you're just kind of wandering around aimlessly like a headless chicken and achieving nothing? That is what this morning is for me. And I had a plan going into today and I was feeling really organised when I first woke up and I was like, I know exactly what I'm gonna film. And I started setting up to film this video that was on my agenda for today. I set up to film for that and I was kind of walking around and I was getting bits ready for that and I was getting distracted by new growth and things going on in my collection, and I was like, you know what, why don't I just scrap that idea for today and do an updates video instead, because I've got so much that I really want to talk about. I'm much more in the mood to just have a really long planty chat with you guys and pick your brains about some weird stuff happening with my plants at the moment. So that's what we're going to do today. But first, if you're new here, hi, my name's Claire and this is Yayyyyy. I make videos all about houseplant care, sharing tips and tricks I've learned over the years to help keep your plants happy and healthy. And yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a random video, but it's one that I am feeling really in the mood to film. So yeah, by all means, make yourself a cup of coffee, cup of tea, grab some plants to repot. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. So in my morning of procrastination so far, one of the things I've done is I've decided to chop up loads of plants. And I think part of the reason I did this, part of the reason is because I was thinking about everything else I needed to get done. And I think I was just trying to distract myself a little bit and feel like I was still being productive, which is just a thing I do on a pretty regular basis. But also, I've got quite a few plants that I've been looking at for a while and I'm like, I don't know how much I'm loving them anymore. Shall I just chop them up and then see how I feel about them? Sometimes I do just chop plants up and kind of restart them and then I fall back in love with them. And sometimes I decide that that's that and I don't particularly want them anymore. And if that's the case, I will pass them on to new homes. So I don't know how well, in fact, I don't really think you can see it all. I might need to put some clips in. But this is what I have chopped this morning. I've completely chopped up my Monstera Esqueleto. I know I was on the fence about that one for a little while and I just was like, you know what? I have tried and tried and tried with that plant and it's just not making me happy. And I've got plant swaps coming up and I know it's a plant that lots of people really like. That's the lovely top cut I got from it and it actually looks really lovely and healthy. But I am just sure that that is going to make someone else so much happier. And there's actually a plant swap on Sunday and I didn't chop this stuff with the intention of taking it all to the plant swap. I more just wanted to start some new propagation bins. I've got a few through in the bedroom and I've potted some stuff up from there recently. I've also just been taking stuff out, like sending stuff out and doing little swaps here and there. So I was like, just getting some new ones started coming into spring, it just feels like a really nice thing to do. So weirdly, I feel like it's kind of cleared my head a little bit. There's been some things that I've been thinking about chopping for a while and I haven't actually been able to bring myself to do it, and doing it this morning has made me feel pretty good. So if you're on the verge of chopping a plant, maybe this is your sign and maybe you should do it. One that I haven't been able to bring myself to chop just yet though is my Monstera Dubia, and she has now completely grown off the moss pole. I can't really extend it much more, so I'm like, do I chop her? She is ginormous. I think maybe in the next few weeks I'm gonna do it. But, right. Where should we start? Where should we start? Oh, I was going to say, on the note of chopping things up, there's actually a plant that is very new to my collection. I've only had it about 4 days, and in fact, it's still in the packaging that it came in. And I'm going to have to put the name of this on the screen. It's a Philodendron, and it's something like a Philodendron Genevivianum or something, but I can't remember exactly. And I got this from Eastern Tropicals. And I just saw it on there and I thought it was absolutely gorgeous. And part of the reason why I haven't taken it out of its packaging yet is just because I haven't been quite sure what I'm going to do with it. And as I say, I think I am going to chop it up. My reason being that when I was Googling pictures of this plant, when it's big, it looks absolutely gorgeous, but it's quite spaced out on the main stem. And in fact, if you have a look at the internodal spacing, even just on the plant here, when it is smaller. You can see that it is quite kind of stretched. And I think I would quite like to grow this plant a little bit bushier if possible. So before I fall in love with it as it grows bigger, which is a thing that I absolutely do, and I always get scared then of chopping my plants because I feel bad, I thought I would just take some cuttings and I can put some into my prop bins that I'm setting up now, and then in a month or two's time I will hopefully be able to pot them up together and get a lovely full plant going. I also need to just reevaluate some space things in my living room because I'm really running low on space at the moment, and obviously looking at the aerial roots on this plant, it's one that is desperate to be on a moss pole. And although yes, I absolutely can make a moss pole for this plant, I'm just like, they take up so much room. And I mean, this is like the constant battle as a plant parent, isn't it? It's like, do you want more space? Do you want more plants? What do you want? And I'm not quite sure what to do yet, but yeah, for the time being, whilst I figure it out, I am going to chop and prop this one. It's an easier decision to make at this stage as well, when I haven't kind of completely fallen in love with the plant yet. So yeah, that is something on my agenda, something I will probably do later this afternoon while I'm chopping stuff up. And then I thought I would just give you an update on my Drymonia cherry begana, because if you saw the reel I made, you'll have seen that I did actually chop this plant up fairly recently. And this is one that I got at the beginning of the year, and it has 100% become one of my favourite plants in a very short amount of time. And this was the lovely top section that I took the cutting of, and already I think it's been about 3 or 4 weeks since I did that. Already it's rooted amazingly. I'm not sure how well you'll be able to tell, but I can see some beautiful roots there in the moss, and I've just got this growing in my cabinet at the moment. And the bottom section here, the kind of main mother section, has got some new growth coming out as well, which I'm really happy about. I think I probably will pot these sections back up together and try and get a lovely full plant going, because I was amazed at the speed of growth from this one. It was honestly, like, it blew my mind. It grew from like 3 leaves to like that big in literally just a couple of months, but it was becoming quite top heavy and it was kind of toppling over, and it was just a little bit stretched out. So again, similarly to what I just said about the philodendron, I was like, I'll chop, I'll propagate, I can obviously make it a little bit fuller that way. And I guess that's just what I will continue to do with this plant as it grows. As I say, I haven't had it a huge amount of time yet, so I'm still very much getting to know it, but it's been a really easy one in my care so far, I found, and it propagates really well, which I'm really happy about, because, oh my goodness, it was such a scary chop to make. I think when you don't know a type of plant that well, or you've never owned it before, like I'd never even heard of this type of plant at the beginning of the year, you never quite know how it's going to respond when you chop it. And I was like, please don't go into shock. Unfortunately, it didn't, and it is now doing really well. I did take a little wet stick cutting as well, and I essentially just kind of tucked that into a little sphagnum moss propagation box, and it's got quite a... it's almost like semi-succulent texture, like the stem, if you squeezed it, it almost feels a bit alocasia-y, like it would kind of pop. And for that reason, I think I probably should have let the wet stick callus for a little bit longer, because it did just rot away very quickly. So I haven't got another section to show you, sadly, but I've got this bit and I've also got that other bit, and both are doing well. So all hope is not lost. Oh, and then a really exciting update. This is, so I know I've spoken a lot recently about how I'm experimenting with Anthuriums. I've got my secret Anthurium collection, which, as I've said in other videos, I know sounds a little bit silly, is just my collection of Anthuriums that I'm building up off camera to just kind of try things out with and experiment a little bit, and not feel the need to have to talk about, because plant care is, for me, it's my passion, it's my hobby. And a lot of the time it's very tempting when anything happens with my plants to be like, you've got to film that, you've got to make a video on that, you've got to make a reel on that. And so I've made the choice to kind of have a collection of plants that is my off-camera plants. I will show you them at some point, but while I'm experimenting, they are just for me. Oh, someone's at the door. Great timing.
A few moments later.
I can't remember exactly what I was just saying, but I think I was on a tangent about secret Anthuriums when really the one that I wanted to talk about and show you is this one, my Antherium Regal. And oh my goodness, if you've been on my channel for a while, you'll know the struggle that I have had with this plant, literally from the day I got it. I've had this one a couple of years now, and I got it from the Equigenera stall at the Rare Plant Festival. And it had, I won't go into all of the details of the story of this plant because I know, ooh, it's also leaking on me. I know I have been through it many, many times. But the beautiful big leaf that it came with died off literally within 24 hours of me first owning it. And ever since then, there has just been one thing after another, and I have never got it to produce a leaf this beautiful. And this leaf is still sizing up and hardening off as well. And I think what I was gonna say as I went on my secret Anthurium tangent is that I have been experimenting with lots of things. I've been doing lots of things a little bit differently. And although it's early days and this is its first leaf that it's given me since I started experimenting, I feel like things are going well, and I feel like I might have made some, I was gonna say revolutionary discoveries. For me, they feel kind of revolutionary. So yeah, I'm very, very happy that it's doing so well. I'm not taking it for granted right now because I do know that this plant has kind of given me false hope before and then things have gone a little bit wrong. But yeah, it's just one that's really exciting me. And I know, again, I know the potential of this plant. I know how big it can get. If I can find a picture and put it on the screen, I will. I don't know if mine would ever get to that stage. I don't think I've got enough light to allow it to get to that stage right now, but it just blows my mind. It's one that I wanted for such a long time. And I just feel like I haven't been bringing out the best in it so far. So I really hope that I've turned a corner now, and I really hope that this is the start of an upward spiral. What am I trying to say? Better things for this plant. Because yeah, it's looking pretty positive at the moment. Oh, and here's a weird thing going on that I was hoping some of you might be able to tell me about. So this is my Gymnocalycium cactus. I showed you it on my houseplant tour, and oh my goodness, I love this cactus. I'm not usually a massive one for colourful houseplants, and I know this is quite kind of like funky and corally coloured, but I adore it. I'm so happy with it. I'm so happy with the way it's growing. Granted, it is slow, and weirdly enough, the variegated side seems to be growing quicker than the non-variegated side, and I don't know why that is. I can just notice that that has kind of become more, I want to say like swollen in the time that I've owned it, and this side hasn't really caught up. And I don't know the reason for that. But I was looking at it earlier today and I just noticed what looks like almost like a little bud there. I don't know if you can see. And I was wondering if maybe it was going to flower. To be honest, I haven't done that much research into this. I've had this cactus for about 2-3 months now, I think, but I haven't done a lot of deep diving into this type of plant, just purely for the fact that like desert cacti care tends to be pretty bog standard, and typically they do take a little while before they actually start doing anything. So yeah, I was just a little bit surprised to see this, and if any of you know what is going on here, please let me know in the comments. And while I'm asking your opinion on stuff as well, we're gonna call this section of the video I don't know what these plants are, because I've got some mystery plants. And I know I'm often getting messages from you guys saying, oh, can you help me ID this? Like, what's that type of plant? And if I know it, of course I will absolutely help. But for me, a lot of the time, like learning about different types of plants and different weird and wonderful things that plants do absolutely comes down to asking the community. And I am certain that you guys will know some of these, and I have no idea. So the first one is one that I picked up at the plant swap, the Bristol plant swap just gone, and it's a begonia, and I really don't know much about begonias at all. I am not usually that great with them, to be honest, but this little one I really like, and I'm actually really excited to grow it. And in fact, there have been a few begonias recently that I've seen and I've been like, interesting. I never ever thought I would be a begonia person, but I can potentially see myself getting some at some point. So yeah, I really want to know what this is. It's got those lovely limey green leaves. It's got these beautiful pink stems. And this one amazed me because it was so unbelievably quick to root. Like, I put it in water, and I think I said this in my plant spot video actually. I put it in water and literally the next morning I could see a little root, and I was like, it's been less than 12 hours. That is crazy. But yeah, just look at the roots on that now. And weirdly, they're not showing up that well on camera, but you can see it's got a really, really decent root system. So I would say it's definitely ready to be potted up. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to pot it up. I haven't experimented, as I say, that much with begonia. So again, would you recommend semi-hydro, soil? Those of you that grow begonias a lot, please let me know, because I'd love to bring out the best in this little one. It's so sweet. But yeah, don't have an idea on it currently. And then this one, I showed you this little one in my houseplant tour last month. I said I thought this was a Philodendron Florida green, and it suddenly started pushing out quite a significant amount of variegation. Like, look at that. That's a little half moon leaf. And obviously I'm certain it's a Philodendron just from the structure of the plant and the way that it's growing. It can take a little while for philodendrons as they size up to kind of develop their form. So I'm not expecting anyone to know for sure yet. But if you've got any theories, please let me know, because it's obviously not what I thought it was. I guess it could be a Florida ghost, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is. And I think I must have picked this up as, I don't know, a cutting at a plant swap or something. I so often just throw things into a propagation box, forget about the box for 6 months, and then come back to it and I'm like, what is this mystery thing? Which is quite exciting, really. I am excited about this one, but I just don't know what it is. But yeah, it's growing very happily in semi-hydro in this little whiskey glass at the moment. It's on one of my little plant shelves by the window. I should absolutely stake it, or probably get it onto a moss pole. Another moss bowl. I'm not sure if I want to do that. I'd like to know what it is first before I really commit to growing it, because if it was like a Florida ghost, for example, for me personally, I don't have that much interest in that plant at the moment. Currently, I would probably take it to a plant swap. But yeah, I'm just intrigued by it. Very intrigued. So yeah, place your bets down in the comments below. And then this one, I've shown this one over on my Patreon before, but I don't think I've shown you guys. Did I show it in my houseplant tour? Maybe I did. I lie. This is one from my secret Anthurium collection, and it is an Anthurium papillolarminum hybrid of some sort, and I don't know exactly what it is. I know that the hybrids can be like hybridized several times over. They can be a cross of a cross, or a mutation of this, or have 2 of the same parent plants and end up looking very different. But it's like, I know I don't need to know, but I just like knowing. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure. That's the leaf it came with, and that looks very happy to me. And then it gave me that one, and I really thought that one would kind of go a little bit more that colour, and maybe it's just very, very slow to harden off. But it's been like this for about 3 months now, and in the time that was still hardening off, it started giving me this leaf, which is obviously huge, and this one is still very dark as well, and it's also just starting to give me a new leaf there as well. So it's clearly very fast growing, and I'm currently growing it in my cabinet at the moment actually, and I've taken quite a lot of my velvety leaf plants out of the cabinet in the last kind of 6 months. Now, like, I know some can like it, but I've had a lot that just haven't responded amazingly, and to be honest, I put this one in there when I first got it just to kind of acclimate the plant and try and just replicate its natural growing conditions a little bit better. And it just seemed to love it, so I've just left it in there. And as I say, I've had it, when did I get this one? Did I get it in November time maybe? November, December, January, February, March, April. Maybe it hasn't even been that long. It's given me a new leaf every month to couple of months, I would say. And for an Anthurium, especially one that's not particularly mature, I think that's pretty good going. Anthuriums can be so slow to grow. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. I just want to know a little bit more about it. It's got this little red sinus here as well, little dot in the middle. So yeah, do let me know what you think it is. And then the last one that has me baffled is another one that I showed you in my houseplant tour, and I said at the time I thought it was a Milano Chon, and similarly to the mystery Philodendron I've just showed you, it's in a little whiskey cup, and it could be a Milano Chon, but it's also just looking very mycansy. And again, I think this is another one that I just had in my prop box, and I just don't quite know. Like, I don't know. I've also got a very juvenile mycans that I propagated from cuttings that's hanging up there, and they look so different, like unbelievably different. But then also I have propagated the Milano Chon from wet sticks before, and it hasn't, the leaves haven't looked quite like this. Maybe it's a hybrid, I don't know. But yeah, I would just really like an ID on it. It almost actually looks a little bit like a juvenile Philodendron lupinum. I'm confident it's not, because it would not be growing this quickly. That's part of the reason why I got rid of my lupinum a while ago. But yeah, it kind of has similar characteristics. It's got a little bit of a kind of pinky tinge to the back of it. Again, very similar to the mycans, but I don't know. So what do you think? Those are the ones that are baffling me. Those are the ones that I want to know more about. And then moving on to the Hoyas, this one here is a Hoya that I've had in my collection for I think about a year now, and it hasn't really done anything for me in the time that I've had it until very recently. And it is the Hoya A074, I think it's the 074. And when I first got it, I was so excited about it because I thought it looked, I mean, kind of Wilbur Graves-ish, like there's similar vibes, and it was so splashy with such a lovely balance of variegation. But those are literally the only leaves. Oh no, I lie. It's given me that leaf in the time that I've owned it, but those are the only leaves pretty much it's had in my time of owning it. And just in the last couple of weeks, it started putting out a little tendril, and I've now got these absolute monster leaves. Look how much it's sizing up. And I'm really excited about this. But I'm also a little bit torn because obviously the leaves that it's giving me are nowhere near as splashy as the original mother leaves. And I'd really, really like them to be splashier. So I'm like, do I chop the plant up? I think what I'm probably going to do, because I can see it's getting ready to put out a little bit more and give me some more leaves just there. I think I might let it give me a few more, let them kind of harden off and mature, and then I might chop it. And hopefully try and conserve some of that lovely splashy variegation down there, because I just think that is beautiful. And then I can propagate this top section as well, and I can have one with the lovely form and hopefully one with the lovely variegation. That feels like the right thing to do at the moment. But yeah, it's one that's just been sat pretty much dormant in my collection for a year or so, and I'm just so happy that it's finally doing something. I've had a few issues, a few weird things going on with my Hoyas over the last kind of 6 months. And part of me was like, is this one just kind of in the same club? Does it potentially have flat mites? I couldn't see anything, but I just didn't really know what was happening. And the fact that this is now happening, it makes me incredibly happy. And on the note, also, I'm gonna put it back in its pot, and I almost put it into my coffee cup. Oh dear. On the note of Hoyas doing exciting things, finally, I chopped up my Hoya latifolia Sarak literally a few weeks ago, and it was such a scary chop to make. It's a plant that I love like more than anything, and it just hasn't been doing anything for me, so it was a really frightening thing to do. However, already I know it was the right decision. Every single section is getting ready to give me new growth. Bearing in mind, this plant hasn't given me new growth in like 3.5 years, and it's rooting amazingly. I've got this one here in semi-hydro. I don't know if you can see, but like, look at that root already. It's literally only been a couple of weeks. This is amazing. And I can see that this section here is starting to swell as if it's going to give me some new growth. And actually I've got the bit in soil here, and I can't see any roots as of yet on this one. It still looks very full, very healthy. The leaves haven't gone floppy or anything like that, still very robust. So I'm hoping that it's rooting. In fact, if I give it a very gentle pull, I can feel resistance, so I hope that's a sign that it's rooting. If the one in Sunny Hydra is rooting, I don't see why this one wouldn't be, to be honest. So yeah, as I said, when I... Oh my God, that's the door again. What a disorganised video this is.
A few moments later.
Oh, okay, that was the postman, and Yoli's now just decided to walk through all the plants. Hello, sweetheart. This is the worst possible place for you to be standing. Where did I get to? The Hoya latifolia Sarak. Yeah, I am just very glad that I chopped it up. I'm so happy to see positive things happening with it so soon, because honestly, I think because this is a Hoya that has not done anything for me in such a long time, I was kind of thinking, okay, maybe I'll chop it up and maybe it won't root for ages, maybe it will take months or even years to see any new growth. And the fact that I'm seeing it do stuff already is just making me so happy and so excited. And I know when I chopped it in that video, hello sweetheart, bless her, you are kidding. That's the door again.
A few moments later.
Oh my goodness, the doorbell has never rung so many times in quick succession. Me and Ross have got Comic-Con coming up next month, and we have been making our outfits and ordering like little bits of ribbon and this and that and all sorts. So I think it has just all decided to arrive on the same day at the same time as I'm filming this video. But what I was going to say before the door rang, I'm trying to think of anything else I've ordered, and I don't think I have, so I think we're all good now. But what I was going to say is, when I did first chop up this plant, I know some of you were saying, oh my God, that's such a scary chop to make. Like, if it works for you, maybe I will try it with mine as well. Firstly, I have absolutely no regrets in doing it. I'm really glad so far that I did make the chop. And also I thought I would just bring my Hoya macrophylla over to show you as well, because this is one that I chopped up I think probably about 3 or 4 months now, again for very similar reasons, because it just wasn't putting out any new growth. I wasn't happy with the way the plant was growing. It had gone a little bit dormant. Again, I couldn't see flat mites, but I was like, process of elimination, chop it up, take some cuttings, start again. And this is just one of the sections that I took cuttings of, and like, look at the size of that leaf. That is just crazy. It's giving me growth now that is so much bigger and more beautiful than the growth it was giving me before. And so again, I'm just like, what a good decision. I'm glad I bit the bullet, and I'm glad I actually did it, because otherwise it would probably still be stuck in dormancy. So yeah, I took some cuttings of this to the last plant swap. I've got some in my cabinet as well that are growing like crazy. This one's just on my little shelf by the window, and it's very, very happy indeed. But yeah, I'm always needing to remind myself of these moments when I am scared to chop up a plant, because often, as I say, it can just be a way of bringing out the best in your plants and getting it to fill out and put out new growth. So yeah, I'm very, very happy that I decided to do that. And the last Hoya update is actually my, I know I just said the A074, that one reminds me a little bit of the Wilbur Graves. I brought my Wilbur Graves over to show you because it's significantly smaller now since I chopped it before the last plant swap, but also because it is a little bit smaller now. I've had it right under my grow light in my cabinet, and a lot of its silver splashy variegation has actually sun stressed and gone slightly pink. And I'm not sure how well the camera is going to pick this up. It's very subtle, but when it's under the grow light, it looks so gorgeous. It looks really, really pretty, and I've never had my Wilbur Graves do this before. So yeah, I'm enjoying growing it like that. And I'm tempted, actually, I was going to take more cuttings of it this morning. I was tempted to take some more cuttings and start rooting some in a prop box. And I don't know if I want to chop any more of this plant or not. I'm not feeling that scared about doing it with the Wilbur Graves at the moment. There's some plants, as I say, that I'm just very precious over chopping, and I'm like, oh no, I couldn't bring myself to do that. And I'm just feeling quite ballsy with my Wilbur Graves, so maybe I will take some more cuttings. I don't know. But yeah, for the time being, I'm just happy with what she's doing. I think it's really cool. Oh, and this wasn't actually on the updates list, but it's just one that's here, so I thought I'd show you. I hacked back my Theal orbifolia again. I found thrips on her, and I was just like, no, not again. got her through to the shower. It wasn't awful, but I could just see quite a lot of damage on the newer leaves, and I was just like, you know what? So if you don't know, I had a massive, big, beautiful Claythea albifolia that was with me. This is still technically her. That was looking big and lovely and beautiful up until about October last year, maybe. And then lots of things went wrong simultaneously, and I did end up completely chopping the plant back. In fact, even before that, I think maybe September time. But yeah, I got her looking lovely again, and then this happened. So I've just done what I typically do when I isolate plants, and I've put her in a little plastic bag. Oh, in fact, there's more here. Oh, more that I definitely need to chop. But this is what she's looking like at the moment. She is giving me a new leaf, which is positive, but otherwise not looking particularly happy. I know I do very often, in fact, get questions about how I isolate my plants if I need to. And obviously it is not a straightforward thing to do at all when you live in a small space with lots of plants. When I say isolate, I typically mean having plants in amongst the rest in bags, or if it's a big plant and I can't do that, then I'll typically take it through to the bathroom, put it out on the balcony. You've just kind of got to get creative with the space that you've got, and I live in a 1-bedroom flat, and so it's not always easy to do that. The other thing you can do, and I haven't got them in ages, but I used to get them quite a lot, is you can get these big transparent, kind of like big things of these, but I think they are floral bags. They're designed to go over big bunches of flowers, and I used to get them for my bigger plants, and I can't remember actually why I stopped getting them. Because they worked really, really well. They essentially just create a little isolation zone around your plants, similarly to this. So yeah, pray for my albifolia. I'm sure she will bounce back. This is a resilient correction, more resilient than you might think, plants, because she's bounced back before, but I'm annoyed that I wasn't checking her as much as I should have been, because it is sadly a plant that is incredibly susceptible to pests, and when the albifolia starts going downhill, it goes downhill very, very quickly. So I do hope that she'll bounce back. I have the faith, but yeah, do hope. And then I thought I would just give you a little update on the Philodendron esmeraldense, which is now starting to root, which is really, really, really exciting. This is the one that I got for my birthday as a big, beautiful cutting, and then both the main leaf and the node rotted away, and I thought it was doomed, and then out of nowhere, it started to just sprout these little leaves, and now, I don't know if you can see that, but look at the little roots. That's making me so excited. I really wish, and you know what? This is just me being impatient, because the fact that the plant is still alive is a miracle, but I really wish it was happening quicker. I'm being very impatient. I check this one all the time because I'm just desperate to pot it up and feel like I've actually got that plant in my collection, because at the moment it just feels like I've got a mossy coffee cup. But what I was saying before is I keep this one now. I was keeping it in my cabinet for a while, but obviously with it in cling film, that essentially is its own little cabinet. I've got this over on my rehab shelf in amongst some of the plants that not plants that I don't like, but plants that I, for some reason, am not as motivated to care for. I don't know if any of you guys have that with your collections, but I've got some that I am constantly really excited by, and I'm constantly wanting to do things to and make sure that I'm really on top of. And then I do just sometimes cycle with certain types of plant, and I'm like, I don't know, I would kind of forget about them if I didn't have incentive to go over and to check on that area. So what I do is I put things like that, for example, in amongst those plants, things that I'm really excited to look at, and that motivates me to go over there and check on them. I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is. I've also got my Pallidiflorum over on that shelf, my Anthurium Pallidiflorum, and that is a plant that I cannot stop checking on, so I'm over there all the time, so it works pretty well. And finally, I thought I'd just give you, and again, I know I'm doing a lot of updates on this one at the moment, but I thought I would just give you an update on the Peperomia Hope, because again, this is another one that I chopped back fairly recently, And again, I'm very, very happy that I did, because it was giving me very, very small, very stretched growth before, and all of its growth just seemed to be getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I was like, why is this happening? I don't understand. And so again, I bit the bullet and I think I chopped about, I can't remember exactly, but I lopped back a lot of vines. I wasn't left with much at the time. And in such a short space of time, it's not only put out so many new growth points as well as filling back in at the bottom, but the growth has dramatically sized up. And it also means that I've had a chance to experiment with propagating this plant. And this is the little prop box I made for the leaf cuttings. And hands down, I have figured out that leaf cuttings is the way to go with this plant. I haven't had any success consistently doing it any other way. And all of the sections in here now are rooted, which is fantastic. I haven't started getting any babies as of yet. I don't think. I'm just having a little look. No, nothing as of yet, but it can be quite slow to actually start putting out pups. So yeah, that's what it's currently looking like. And I'm just keeping it, again, by the window. And hopefully at some point I will have some lovely sections that I can either put up with the mother plant, or I can start as their own brand new plant. Oh, and a bonus update as well, and I'll put a clip in of this because it's next door, but if you watched my video before Christmas, I made some terrarium baubles, and they are doing amazingly. Me and Ross have just decided to keep them as, like, not Christmas decorations, just year-round planty decorations, and they're doing incredibly. We trimmed them back the other day because all of the Hoyas and Fettonias inside them are, like, pushing out, and I didn't know if it would be a sealed enough environment to actually keep the plants and they're happy, but it's working really well. So yeah, I'm excited to be able to have like living Christmas decorations pretty much forever, and potentially create some more hanging terrariums as well, because I think they just look lovely. Yeah, I've picked up some interesting containers recently, so I might do some terrarium making at some point in the next few weeks. But yeah, those are the things that have been distracting me all morning, and it's felt really good to share them with you and have a chat through everything, because it's nice to chat through planty stuff, isn't it? But yeah, let me know as well down in the comments what's going on with your plants at the moment. Are any of them doing any weird and wonderful things? Have you acquired any wishlist plants recently? Let me know what's going on with you. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video.
Stay sexy, plant lovers.